What are you doing to change the status quo? Since they constitute 50% of the country's population, the youth play a major role in running the affairs of the country, from sports to politics, education, entrepreneurship, entertainment, health, religion, science. The Youth Bantaba is a platform designed to talk about issues affecting and as well as to celebrate the youth. Join me, Ceesay, every Friday from 12 to 1 p.m. on Gambian Talents TV. Youth Bantaba Show, celebrating youth of the Gambia. Hello, welcome back to another edition of the Youth Bantaba Show, live and direct here in our studios on Gambian Talents TV, and I am your host, Ceesay. It's good to be back again, and today I have a guest. I know you all are wondering who my guest is today. He is someone who is a dynamic young person, working extremely hard when it comes to fighting for the voice of the young people, and also he's the chair of the National Assembly, and he's in the National Assembly with the likes of Halifa Sallah, Honorable Halifa Sallah, the likes of Honorable Sidia Jata and all. But I will not just do anything just to let him introduce himself to the Youth Bantaba. Welcome, Honorable Omar Ceesay, to the Youth Bantaba Show.
Thank you very much. I am pleased to be here, and thank you for having me. Just to extend my greetings to the viewers, those that listening to the program live and direct now. And my name is Honorable Omar Ceesay, the youngest National Assembly member, and I am representing the people of Nyamina East and the Gambian people at large.
Thank you. That's Honorable Omar Ceesay from Nyamina East, and one of the youngest parliamentarian that we currently are having at the National Assembly. Honorable Ceesay, take us through your educational background.
Thank you. It's very key and important. I did all my schooling within Nyamina East because I started from Sodokai, a village called Sodokai, not very far from my village. I did my grade 2, primary 2 to grade 6. From there, I moved to another village, my junior school, a village called Sodokai, Kudang, from my grade 7 to grade 9. And then from there, newly school was established called Nyamina Senior Secondary School, located in Jaring. And that's where I did my grade 10 to grade 12. So I did, one can say, all my schooling within Nyamina East. From there, I decided to join the college, the Gambia College, and where I was satisfied after 3 years to become a qualified teacher.
Okay, after your graduation or having been certified as a qualified teacher, how does the title professor came? Because when I was doing a thorough research about you, someone told me, oh, he is a professor, then we call him a professor then back at college days. So how does the title professor came?
Well, it's very important because during my schooling, then I used to lead, and I would say leading is something that I started right from the village, in fact, because the boys that I used to move with. Whenever there is something, they will decide to choose me to be their leader, and that goes to the senior, my schooling time, from the junior, upper school, and the senior school. And there I could remember whenever there is something that I have to talk about to address the entire school, whenever there is a speech given to me, what I normally do, I don't read directly from the paper, but I will cram whatsoever that is given, no matter how short the time is. I will cram whatever that is written on that document and have it crammed. There I will deliver it without looking through the paper. And from that, people started calling me professor. Maybe they know best, but this is how I used to address gathering. That is why I am not used to reading through documents directly, but instead I cram things or speeches and deliver them as written.
Wow, that's a great thing. What motivated you to become a politician as a young person? Because we all know, like, going into politics in the Gambia as a young person, so many young persons does not want to go into politics. So why do you choose politics?
It's a question that every young individual or every citizen should ask him or herself, because it's very important. I am with the concept, I am with the belief and the understanding or the notion that politics should be everyone's business, because every aspect of life that one has to engage in has some elements of political influence. So as a result of that, I deem it fit to say it is the politicians who are deciding on whatsoever, the food that we eat, the water that we drink, the electricity that we enjoy, the road that we walk on, and every other thing that has to do with development in this country. And even if we are to have bilateral, if we are to have agreement, friendship, whatsoever with other countries, then it is these politicians that are there to represent us. They will be the one deciding on those things. Even the job that you are doing here, media, the work or the policy, the regulations governing your institution, it is decided by the politician. Despite, yes, they can seek your opinion regarding how do you want this law to be constituted in that document. But at the end of the day, they can turn down your opinion regarding that, and they will do whatsoever that they feel like. So I said to myself, hence, politicians are the ones doing everything on our behalf. I think it is wise for me also as a young individual to join the political arena and become part of those that are going to decide, those that are going to influence the decisions to be made, those that are going to influence the laws to be made. And it is important, you as an individual, to think about, to ask yourself the question, if these are the individuals, at the end of the day, who will be deciding on those policy, program, laws, and whatsoever, agreements, distributing the resources of this country, it is about time for you also to see how best can you also be part of those that will be making decisions on those areas. And this is the reason why I deem it fit to say it is about time the young people also come up to show the elderly people and the world at large that we are not also too young to run. We are not also too young to lead, and we are not also too young to express our opinion or sound mind. And looking at it, the work that you are doing here, whether the press, whether the trade industry, whether the whatsoever I can say, that one has to engage in the policies governing that. The politicians are the one deciding on that. Even if we are to have international convention, if we are to have treaties to be ratified, if we are to have agreements with other countries, politicians are the ones who will be deciding on those aspects. So I deem it fit to say, yes, it is about time that I become part of those that will be decided on those policy and programs. Because there was this concept, it could be based on our culture, tradition, whatever, that the young people don't have to challenge the elderly people. But I could be part of those that will be fighting to the mindset that the young people don't have to run for election, or they don't have to lead in front of the elderly people. So this is a mindset, it's a notion that was in existence, and I believe gradually the young people are trying to realize that this was a concept that was not actually helping the young people, because constituting 60 to 65% of the population, I believe that we can also be heard in this country. And we can be only be heard if we are actually given the opportunity, but we cannot be given the opportunity if we are not also committed to be to run election or to take leadership role. And that is why I have to decide to join politics to show the young people or the world that I can also make a difference.
Yes, we can make a difference if we are committed to at least see politics as something that is for our own welfare or for our own being. But before I had a question, but before we go to that, where are you seeing yourself as of now when it comes to the political arena? Are you aiming for something bigger than the position that you are holding as of now?
Yeah, it depends. All the time one has to aim higher and higher. It depends on what really do you want to achieve at the end of the day, or where do you want to see yourself. But what I know is I am into politics and I have decided to join politics. And in this field, I aim to achieve so many things. What is wrong, for instance, for a young somebody out there to say, I am the youngest president in this country? What is wrong for an individual, a young somebody to say, I became the youngest minister in this country, the youngest director, the youngest whatsoever in this country? Things that has to do with leadership role. So I think these are things that are very important, and I can even become the youngest president in this country. I can become the youngest minister in this country. All these things can happen, but it depends on how committed and ready are you to involve yourself into politics. Because this ministerial posts that you are seeing, they are politically appointed. The president, you have to be a politician for you to be elected. The National Assembly member also, the speaker also, the same thing. So these are things that we must consider. We must participate in politics in order to achieve or handle such positions in governance.
Thank you very much. We have seen UDP, APRC, PDOIS during those days. Why did you choose to represent or to go under the ticket of the GDC? Why choosing GDC as a political party?
Well, it's a good question, and I will so pleased that this question also comes up, because looking at it, some of these political parties, they were in existence. Some of them were here for 25 years, some of them 30 years, and so on. So we don't have to be told what they are capable of doing. We don't have to be narrated about what they are able to do in this country, because we have observed certain things for ourselves. We have seen and realized certain things for ourselves, what every individual political party can do in this country. So some of these parties, GDC came of recent, because the 2016 presidential election, GDC was the last political party to be registered in this country. So I am with the notion, I am with the belief, and having observed what the GDC is capable of doing, I feel that this is the party that one can belong to and make a great change in this country. Because these parties were here, they were not able to do certain things that definitely convinced me. So I said, there is a new party established, let me join this political party and see actually what will happen in the long run. Because listening to one of the speeches of the party leader saying, even whereas he was never a flag bearer, he was never a presidential candidate, he has been contributing immensely towards the development of this country. So having listened to that, I hold the view that, yes, if this individual is capable of doing all these things, and now that he has decided to establish a party in order to run the affairs of this country, maybe if this individual is given a chance, then I believe the Gambian people can be better represented, and the taxpayers' money will be better utilized. So the policy and the programs of the party also definitely satisfied me, because their goal or their motto is women and youth empowerment. So seeing myself as a young person, seeing myself as a very young individual wanting to get into politics, and the party is clearly indicating that the young people will be empowered. The women of this country will be empowered. So I said, I think here is the right party where I can join. And that definitely warranted me to join the party. But that's not all. Looking at the party, we have seen the party is contributing immensely. If you get to the agricultural sector, the party is contributing. The health sector, the party is contributing. You get to the road, bridges, the party is contributing. The young people, some of them are sponsored by the political party to go and further their education. And you talk of so many other areas where the party is contributing little that they have. So I am with the view that if an individual political party is able to share the little resources that they have with the general public or the most vulnerable people, so I have no doubt in my mind that if such a political party is given the opportunity to run the affairs of this country, the taxpayers' money will not be utilized as expected.
Thank you. And another question that I want to ask you is, Honorable, you were elected and voted into office together with the likes of Honorable Halifa Sallah, Honorable Sidiya Jatta, and those people were more experienced than you when it comes to making laws or at the National Assembly. How was the experience like being a young person at the age of 24, correct me if I am wrong, and elected as the National Assembly and the youngest parliament of the National Assembly? How is the feeling? How was the feeling?
Well, I will say if you are not into something, you can never obtain any experience out of it. You might be employed newly without that experience required in that job. But as you move on, then you will get to learn so many things. And I will say, in any human grouping or in any society, in any gathering, people will begin to learn from one another. And I have the belief that every individual in that National Assembly, no matter how little it is, you came there with some experience. It depends on where your experience lies, and whatsoever your experience could be, at the end of the day, it could be beneficial to the people who are there. It depends on whether you are an expert on IT, whether you are an expert in the teaching field, whatsoever that one might be, because there might be an issue that the National Assembly members might be talking about in that National Assembly. And your contribution, your experience from that field will also help immensely towards the debate of that particular document. So the experience is very important, but as you said, they are more experienced than me when it comes to National Assembly proceeding, when it comes to lawmaking and certain things. But I will have to say this: laws, policies, programs, regulations, the most important part of it is the people that you are representing. You just have to consult, you just have to make investigation, make research to ensure that the law in question, is it going to affect my people in one way or the other? And these are the technical issues that you need to ask yourself. Today, Honorable Halifa Sallah, today, Honorable Sidiya Jatta, and all other members that you might talk about, they might have more experience than me, but I know the problem of my people more than them. And I can better address the problem of my people more than them. So here, their experience to me, definitely it will not apply in this case. The need of my people will apply in this case. And these are some of the things that I will consider. Yes, I will learn from them in terms of the proceeding, in terms of the knowledge that they have, but the little that I have also, whether they indicate or not, I believe others are also learning out of me. Even whereas it's not those in the National Assembly, but those outside the National Assembly can also learn from the little experience that I have. So the most important part of this is the people you're representing. Do they really have what they are looking for? Their submissions, inputs on whatsoever law, document presented in the National Assembly, how is that going to affect them? How is that going to benefit them? These are the technical issues that we can ask. And every individual, you can better speak for your people.
Every individual can better speak for your people. It's still the Youth Bantaba show here live and direct in our studios on Gambian Talents TV, and I am your host, Aisa Tukuli. Honorable Ceesay, what are the challenges that you face as a young person being a parliamentarian at the National Assembly?
Well, it depends. I know that the respect required is given to me because respect is reciprocal, and I expect every individual to give me the deserved respect, and also you expect the same respect from me. But honestly, the National Assembly, the respect needed is definitely given because there we have people who are ethical, people who are respectful, people who are taking that leadership role. And we don't expect any individual maybe to behave in such a manner that it won't tell well about you. That is why I would say I am giving the maximum respect that I needed, and the same thing that I am also giving them. But the point is, as I said earlier, the young people, there was this belief that the young people should not lead, the young people cannot take any leadership position. Maybe people might look at me in that dimension. People might see me in that direction, that a young individual coming up with a new style, a young individual coming up this year, a young individual also being in the National Assembly, they might see it in a different way, but it does not matter. At the end of the day, what matters is what you are going to submit before the table, what you are going to give before the table, and what will be your contribution before the National Assembly. And from that, I believe I inspire so many young people for the fact that I am young and I am doing the little that I can, and they don't regret me representing them. So the issue is, the respect is given, just that they were doubting how a young individual can also went through so many challenges until he won such an election, a very difficult election. It was a challenge to them. Some people see it difficult or see it as something that cannot be possible in this country. But with me and the others, I believe we are beginning to change the narrative in this country.
Yes, young people definitely are beginning to change the narrative of this country. And believe me, like, young people from different sectors are doing extremely well from their different sectors. Honorable Ceesay, during these trying times in the country, the COVID-19 and the state of emergency, we have seen you give out half of your salary, or 2 months' salary to your people in your constituency. Why and why did you do that? Because most of these National Assembly members, very few of those people had that mind that, okay, I have to go and do this for my people. So why did you have that intention, and then you give 2 months of your salary to your people in these trying times? Country. Yeah,
I am happy that you say trying times, and which is the key word in this. And in every situation, there must be people who will be less privileged. There must be people who must be very vulnerable to the circumstances. So looking at the circumstances or the situation that we are encountering now in this country is very, very challenging. And the people I represent, of course, I believe they are also very vulnerable in the situation we are experiencing now. This was not expected, COVID-19 I mean, and every individual country, every individual person, you are doing whatever that you could within your capacity to see that you also contribute to the fight against COVID-19. So I am with the belief, I am with the notion that being the representative of the people, and I have little that I can share with my people in order to help them I have the belief that I can also help in one way or the other. I decided that I will donate 2 months of my salary and buy drugs and, of course, free tickets for my people. As I'm speaking to you, the drugs were purchased, handed over to the health center, and of course 2 months free tickets are also provided, including, in fact, this month is the last month. And the people, of course, I will realize that at the end of the day, every individual within Nyamena East, or even outside Nyamena East, they will benefit in one way or the other. Even yourself, you can benefit out of that. Yeah. Because at the end of the day, if you take a journey here to Basse and you get up to Kudang and maybe you have headed and whatsoever, you might pass through the health center and that free ticket will be given to you. Maybe if the drugs are not finished, maybe you can also have the opportunity to be given drugs out of those that I purchased. So it's a trying time. People are suffering, and I do indicate to people that COVID-19 is not the only potential disease that can kill. Other diseases also do exist in this country. You talk of diarrhea, you talk of HIV, you talk of other malaria and so on. People are facing some of these sicknesses in this country. So maybe with that support, at least in one way or the other, the money that my people were supposed to spend to have such drugs or treatments or whatsoever, then at the end of the day, they can save that money and help themselves in terms of survival. So that's how I realize it. Buying it food package will not help because not everyone can access, even the state cannot provide food for everyone in this country. And buying it, what any other thing in terms of distribution will not help. But me in a family, even if I am not sick, my younger brother, my father, or whosoever who is sick within that family and been given the drug or the ticket, free ticket, then the whole family is helped. And that is a strategy that I apply here. That's the only reason why I also came up with the package and the initiative. But I believe that people did appreciate that.
People really did appreciate that because there was people were congratulating you for such a noble gesture. Hon.Omar Ceesay, still on to COVID-19. How did you see our health ministry as of now with regards to COVID-19? Because people are saying different kind of things, like they are reluctant, they still don't have the capacity that it is needed for the treatment or for the fight against COVID-19. What's your take on that?
Like I said before, this is something that was not expected, but as the saying goes, always expect the unexpected. And that this led us to the issue or the challenges that we are encountering now. Because we were never prepared for such disease, we were not prepared for such fight or such battle. And the most difficult part of this is we are fighting something that we cannot see right out there. We are fighting something that we cannot handle physically or attack physically. So as a result of that, it becomes very challenging. So the government, of course, the minister, I will applaud him for doing everything possible to ensure that the disease is either contained or we either do everything possible to prevent oneself from the COVID-19. But I would say it has so many negative impact in this country. You talk of the socio-economic development, you talk of the survival of the people, you talk of so many other issues that one could have at least embark on nowadays and make some progress, but because of COVID-19, it becomes very challenging. And I could remember recommending to the minister when the disease was moving around or when the disease was actually moved by the people from one geographical area to another. I did indicate to them that the number one key thing that you must do is to have our borders closed, is to have our international airport closed.
But don't you think that we are late to do that as a country, like closing our airspaces and our borders as well? Don't you think that we are late to do that?
Because I told them, and this was not adhered to, this was not taken into consideration, and suddenly we have registered a number of cases in this country. So for me, I can always back myself by saying this statement that it was somehow late, and it is as a result of that we are experiencing this COVID-19 in this country. But it could have been avoided if suppose we close our borders and international airport. So from there, whatever arrangement that we are going to make, we can make it internally, and whatever external arrangement that we are going to make, then that will come next. But the fact that the borders and the international airport were actually late to be closed, that led us to some of the situations that we are encountering now. The ministry, of course, not recently, you had the minister talking about corruption in his ministry. Well, fine and good, because if there are certain things happening in your ministry or in your government, I will expect you, if you are really helping the system, you can fight that, or you can have that reveal, or you can take the necessary step to ensure that it doesn't happen again, or you make stop to it. And the minister, yes, I will applaud him for that. But again, I will have expect him to come earlier than that. Yeah. Yes, because it has been happening and going on, and he was very disturbed about that. So I will have expect him to earlier expose these people who were actually in such a deal, and there maybe the situation would have been addressed earlier and right at the time. But the number one issue that I don't really want to agree with the minister is we inherited a bad system. I am not arguing the fact that we inherited a bad system, yes, but after 1 year, after 2 years, after 3 years, close or barely 4 years, you are still giving us the same narrative that we inherited a bad system. So what is your job? What is your role? What effort? What commitment are you making to ensure that you establish a new system? So I think the minister is part of those that can establish the new system he is advocating for, and the government at large. But we cannot keep on saying any accidental thing that happened in this country or any unfortunate thing that happened in the system, we tend to blame the old system. If people are in the new system or people are in the new government and they realize that they were in the old system and they are not still helping this new system, what is wrong for you reallocating them, or what is wrong for you to better train them or better enlighten them to adhere to the rules of the new system? But I am not in agreement with that. We are still experiencing what was happening in the old system. I will expect the government to come up with a new system.
Yes, that's Honorable Omar Ceesay. Honorable Ceesay, let's talk about the public state of public emergency. The president came out some time ago and said he's extended it to 90 days, but unfortunately the National Assembly, which you were a part of, said that no, we are going to at least give it a try of 45 days, and which you guys did. So how was the push and pull between you guys and the Minister of Justice at that time before extending it to another 21 days?
Yeah, it's very important because I am not a medical expert. I am not a health expert, but as I said earlier, the advice that the health experts are giving us, of course, we need to adhere them. And one of them is to ensure that we avoid public gathering, be washing our hands and other things. Because of that, they deem it fit that state of public emergency can help in trying to observe some of these things. And they came up with a proposal, or they came up with a motion before the National Assembly, indicating that they will need a 3-month state of public emergency, which the President declared, and the National Assembly is required, or is required to extend that to 3 months. The National Assembly members, of course, upon discussion, they narrow it down to 3 months. The fact that we are extending, we also want to ascertain along the line what will happen after covering a number of days or weeks. And we narrow it to 45 days. This is simply because at the end of the 45 days, we will want to ascertain how effective was the implementation, how was this actually going to help. But in the real sense, we observe. You don't have to be told, I don't have to be told. We are observing this every day. We are seeing this in this country, that most of the things, 95 or 80% of these that they were telling us are not properly enforced or are not implemented as expected. So to me, yes, I see the need for extension, but I don't see the need for extending the state of public emergency for another 45 days. Despite now that the president has...
You voted no.
I voted against the 45 days that the justice minister was requesting. Because the simple fact is that, having looked at what transpired during the earlier 45 days, was not actually satisfactory at my own end, and it was not really helping my people. Because I told them, one of the points that I mentioned was, the markets, the way they are occupied, the way they are crowded, the way they are congested in the urban area, the lumos in the rural area are not congested that way, and that one is just weekly. And the people, if they are there in the morning before 5, they are gone. So, and that's where my people are having the little thing that they can help themselves in order to maintain their survival. So, I don't see the reason why, if you can open the markets in the urban area, I don't see the reason why you cannot also open the lumos in the rural area. So these were some of the things that I was actually trying to challenge and put out before the minister. But maybe they were not seeing that direction. And the president went ahead and extended it to another 21 days. We are experiencing the 21 days, but are we experiencing strict or the regulation being enforced? That is not the case. So the extension to me is just a name. It's just leadership responsibility, and he has did that. But the enforcement, the regulations, the policies governing COVID-19, they are not adhered to. And it does not stop us from continuing seeing the virus increasing in number.
it is increasing in now because just yesterday the country has another new case, totaling it to 26 cases as of now. So the government stated that they are doing a sort of a food bank initiative. And how do you see the food bank initiative that most of the people are complaining that it is still not reaching to them? So how are you seeing the food bank initiative?
Yeah, I will say this is something, when the first motion was tabled by the Justice Minister seeking for 3 months, the committee which I am part of, that's the Human Rights and Constitutional Matters Committee, the motion was given to our committee and we decided to narrow it down to 45 days, but alongside with a relief package provided. And that's what the government is trying to fulfill. But what are the measures? What approach are they using to distribute the package? That is the question we must ask. Just recently, before coming here, I was talking to my people, and they did indicate to me that most of them, in fact, I would say some of the villages within the area, they are yet to access the food package that we are talking about. And the food package we are talking about was supposed to be distributed in the early 45 days, which was not done. You extend it to another 21 days. So, and still others are there without that food package or without that food support. So what are you really indicating? So to me, I would say it's a recommendation, of course, that the government is trying to fulfill, but the manner in which they are doing this is not really helping, or one would not call it a fair deal, because you choose people that you are going to give the rice, you choose people that you are going to help. It does not really tell well about the government. I will have expect them to share this equally to the people who are really in need of it.
Some people also say that these initiative or these foodstuffs are given to the councilors of each constituency instead of giving to the alcalos. And some people think that it is very wrong to give it to the councilors. It is supposed to be given to the alcalos.
Well, that is not the case. Maybe in other areas, but my constituency, that is not the case, because
my constituency, it is given to the councilors of Talinding North and South to do the distribution instead of the alcalo, and which is probably the commotion there, it's too much. Every day, if I live here and I went back home, I'll be hearing stories from every angle. So I don't know whether it is your
yeah, but the fact of the matter is, whatever that one might talk about at his or her angle is purely politics. The government is purely politicking, using the full package to capture political points. That's the reality on the ground, whether they accept it or not. But that you are talking about, well, I cannot speak what is happening in other corners or in other constituencies, but my end, that is not the case. The councillor is not informed in any way. The councillor has no responsibility in terms of the distribution. And of course, even the alcalos, I will say, all that they know is the food package are deposited somewhere, wherever they feel like that it could be there, and from there, then if they feel like distributing it, they will send their delegation to come and distribute. That is all that I can say about this food. But other than that, I am never informed about this food package. My councillor is never informed about this food package. It could be, in my opinion, it could be because we are in the opposition and involving us in the distribution, and it could lead to us capturing political points out of that distribution. But that is not the case. We know the people better than them, because they are here, and my people are as the grassroots. They know the condition, they know people who are in really need of this food. And the councillors, of course, involving them, they have a better statistic or data about the information or the number of people, the household in each of these communities, and they can better advise the government as to how they are going to distribute it. But in this case, my area, that is not the case.
Thank you. And to still remind you guys are watching the Youth Bantaba show. Live and direct here in our studios on Gambian Talents TV. Hon.Omar Ceesay, the food bank initiative, when it's first started to be giving out to the people, the vice president did a statement of saying the youths are lazy, the youths are this. So, as a young person and representing the youths at the National Assembly, how do you feel seeing the #2 citizen of this country uttering those type of words that the youth of this country are lazy, they don't want to be engaged. What's your take on that?
Well, the Vice President, as I said earlier, is a very unfortunate statement, and I was not expecting this from the Vice President, because the country #2 in command or authority should have not said those things. Because I do want to remind people, especially this government, that we need to take a historical journey. And taking a historical journey, one will observe that the young people play a very critical role to end dictatorship in this country. They fought total nail to ensure that the era of dictatorship is end in this country. And the young people were not far behind during the campaign. The young people were not far behind during the struggle. The young people did everything possible to ensure that we realize change in this country. And that is exactly what we are realizing. We are realizing that change in this country. That is why the Vice President is given the privilege and the honor to occupy the position she is handling now. And I will continue reminding her that she is not the most competent, she is not the most capable, she is not the most intelligent person to handle such a position. It's just a privilege and it's just a honor that she is given that position.
Li gëna miti sax moy légui mu ngi ni ñu ngi gëné li doomi Gambia yu bari nangu ñoo liggéey fi déma ba ñëwé ñu né leen dinañ leen fay li pour ngeen égal ñu né lool dafa tuuti lool lañ wax ñaata ngeen la fay am nañu leen propose ba $6 pour ekati saaku def ko ci moto bi rek te bu ñëk ba ñaata la dalasi la $2 waaye because of emergency fagoon nañ ne tey bu fekkee ne nit ñaa ngi gis li ñoo def nit mun naa dem ne xaaral ñu def ko ndik suñu dëkk nationalisme boobu moom laa gisut lan laa gis doomi Mali la doomi Guinée yi doomi Sierra Leone Sénégal ñoom ñooy ñoo di égal di jël $6 boobu ak $5 bi ak $3 bi te Gambien si ñu noon nañ ko jël dimbale seen boppam nit suñ toogee ci seen radio yi lu ñoo wax amuñ liggéey wax juddu jeex ñu ngi ko dégga waaye ñetti fan yi la ma def fii man dama tiit dama simeeku
waaye madame pour yëpp pour coono bi pour wàññi leen coono bi ak pour transparency lan moo tax comme yeneen réew yi joxoo leen xaalis ñi nga xam ne ñoo ko gën a yelloo balaa ngeen di jox items xëy na lii coono la pour yóbbu ko indi ko lan moo tax joxoo leen xaalis
ku la wax ne joxewuñu xaalis
maanaam
instead
of food no I'm a journalist
waaw li ma laa waxal noonu moo tax ma laaj la parce que balaa nga assume as a professional journalist da nga laajte xam nga soo xamul da laajte
food items instead of giving food items you give money maybe
no we are giving food items because Gambia, if you look at the map, the vulnerability map, people have households and they are very poor and hungry. We start with what is necessary to relieve them. This is a relief package, and in a relief package you have to mix it up. Money is something, you understand, but what can money, if you give $1,000 to a person, can it buy a bag of rice or 2 bags of rice, one 20-liter oil, and also a bag of sugar, $1,000?
So if you are given such a position to lead people who sacrifice for you to be given such a position, at the end of the day, I don't expect you to say things that will undermine the will of those individuals, the mind of those individuals, and the wisdom of those individuals. But instead, if you don't have anything to offer them, if you don't have anything, opportunity to give them, I will rather expect you to say things that will at least calm down their minds, that will motivate them, that will encourage them, that will make them to have the peace of mind, or stable mind. But at the end of the day, if you are saying things that are contrary to what they were expecting from the government, then it becomes so challenging. You don't call loading and offloading bags of rice, sugar, and oil a job creation. Because it depends on how you approach the young people. Get to the point where you see the young people, they are laborers. They are doing heavy job than what she was even asking them to do. You go to the villages, you see young people going out there to fetch firewood. You go to other places, the cement factory, you see the young people loading and offloading bags of cement. So these are jobs that the young people are doing. We are seeing it, we are realizing it. But it depends on how you approach me and how you want me to do the job. But with all that, is that how we want to continue engaging our young people in this country? That is not the case. Those in the university, those in the Gambia College, those in MDI, GTTI, talk them in category. How in category do you want to engage them? Those with degrees, you don't expect them to go and load and offload bags of rice. Those that with skills, how can you create that avenue?